Okay, sorry, maybe I was not audible here. Anyways, let me tell you about the datagram. I hope I'm audible now. Yes, just wave the hand. Okay, fine. So we will talk about the datagrams here. Now, what are datagrams? Datagrams are connectionless packets, or you can say the packets that travel through connectionless communication are called as datagrams. So what happens is in connectionless, the packets travel or take up different route. That's why how the datagram is defined is datagram is an independent. So because why it is independent? Because it need not depend on the previous packet's route. It can take up different route. It doesn't have to depend on whether the first packet has gone, then only I should follow. It is not like that. So it is called as independent. Self-contained, because the datagram contains its own address where it has to reach. Unlike datagram, when TCP/IP uh, connection-oriented packet flows, it need not that every packet knows where is the destination. Simply the next packet will follow the previous packet. That's all. So only the first packet knows where to go, and then the protocol there it will check whether all the packets are reached or no. Unlike that, in connectionless, what happens is every packet will know where it has to go. So even though it takes up a different route, it knows it doesn't get lost. It will reach the destination until unless there is any problem. Now, sent over the network whose arrival time and content are not guaranteed. Why arrival is not guaranteed? Because it doesn't go in that direction. So it doesn't, path is also not reserved. So there may be problems in the path, or it may get lost somewhere. So something like that. It is connectionless where the delivery of the packets is not guaranteed. Anyway, so they may ask this. So I have given two different definitions. Datagrams are bundles of information passed between machines. Once the datagrams are released to its intended target, there is no assurance it will arrive at the target. So with this, let us go ahead. Java.NET package contains two classes to implement datagrams with UDP protocol. UDP stands for User Datagram Protocol. Now, as you all know, UDP is connectionless protocol. So it contains two classes. Which are those two classes? One is datagram packet. It is the data container. So the packet itself can be created using datagram packet class. Then datagram socket is a mechanism used to send and receive datagram packets. So there are two things. One is the packet creation and second, the packet transmission. So for packet creation, we make use of datagram packet class, and for packet transmission or to establish a communication, we make use of datagram socket. So first the packet has to be created, then the socket will start. So anyways, so let us see. This is again not in the textbook, but I have taken it from the computer networks. Datagram packets are used to implement connectionless packet delivery service supported by UDP protocol. Each message is transferred from source machine to destination based on the information and address contained in that packet. As you all know, if you know the format of datagram packet, it will not only contain the message, it will also contain the host address. Host in the sense, I mean, where it has to go, or server port. I mean, host address, so where it has to go and to which through which port it has to communicate. Everything, each packet knows this. So as per the packet format, which is shown here down, you all know that each packet contains not only the information but also the address of the destination. This means that each package needs to have a destination address. Each packet might be routed differently and might arrive in any order. Packet delivery is not guaranteed. So you can see the format of datagram packet. It will contain a message. It contains the length of the message because the destination, at the destination, based on this length, it will go on reading the message. Once the length is over, then it will assume that the message is over. Host address and also the port through which it has to communicate. Now let us know about datagram packet class. So first we will create packet and then we will transmit. Datagram packet, to create that datagram packet class is used. Creation, now how to create the object of datagram packet. Creation of object of datagram packet means creation of the packet itself. So now this datagram packet is for two purposes. One is for receiving the information and second is for sending the information. Now for receiving, what it requires. For receiving packet, it doesn't have to have address of the destination, isn't it? Receive means it will be poured into this packet. So what will happen is, suppose if server is sending some information through packet, this client side will hold only the empty packet and it will a kind of container and it will receive the information from the arrived packet. So you can see here datagram packet for receiving. How to create the object? It should only have the some size to hold the data. Uh, it should have some array to hold the data, and it should have the one integer variable to indicate what is the size, how much data it has read. So it has to just store what is the size of the data and the actual content of the data. So this is how we create a packet for receiving purpose. Then, as you all know, byte data first parameter is the array. It is a blank array initially. It will be filled once we receive the message, because the data is stuffed in a byte array. So the data type is byte here. And then next, datagram packet. Again, this is for receiving only. It has got three parameters. What are those three parameters indicate? Sometimes what will happen is, once we have received one packet, it is something like this. I will take out a notation. I will use one shape. Suppose my receiver packet is this big. I mean, this is my datagram packet. At the receiver end, I want to store information which I'm going to receive. So I have received one packet which has got, I have stored it somewhere here. Then my receiver packet is big. So I can store another packet which I have received in the same packet. So I will just store it or read this packet information. It is like this. This packet also I'm going to read it here, suppose. So when I want to read, I want to start reading from this point onwards. So this starting point is called as offset. Offset, or the index value from where I want to store the read value. So here you can see in this particular second constructor, I have the array. That means I will know what to write, what to store. I will have the value here. So I will have a value here, what to store. And then second is parameter is int offset. So from where I have to start reading, in the sense from where I have to store. And then the third is size. So how much I'm going to store, this is the size. So these three things, this is the second constructor. Now let us see the other constructors, that I want to create packets for sending information. So when I want to send, as you all know, for sending the packet, my packet must be in this format. Fine. So this typical format of datagram packet is for sending purpose. So how many values I must have in my constructor? I must have 4 values minimum. So let us see my constructor where I create the datagram packet for sending purpose. So first parameter is, as you all know, the first format is message. I mean, first part of the packet is message. So I will have the array of bytes which contains the message which I want to send. Second part is the length. So length parameter must be an integer. So I will have the size of the message that I want to send. I have to also intimate about how much size, what is the length of the message I am sending. Third, as you all know, the host address. So the host address is sent through the inet address object. So third parameter, when I create the datagram packet for sending, I will have inet address or the IP address of the destination. Last one is the server port. So I will have the port number, which is of the integer parameter. So when I create my packet by passing all these 4 values, my packet is ready for the delivery or sending purpose. Similarly, here for sending, I have another what you can say, the constructor. So here also the additional parameter is nothing but the int offset. So offset indicates the, suppose I am sending, but I don't want to send the entire, my packet is big, but I want to send only a particular part of that packet. In that case, I can specify the offset value, and then it will start transmitting only from that point onwards. So this will be rarely used anyway. So these four constructors are there. Two are for receiving and two are for sending. You should remember, for receiving we may require only two values. For sending we require minimum four values. Fine. So the format you have to remember. Next, methods. Which are the methods of datagram packet class? Get address. So it will return the address of the source. So in case of receiving packet, it will show the address from where the packet is arrived. In case of sending, it will give the destination address. Get data, it returns the byte array of the data contained in the data gram. So in both the kinds of packet, I can use this. Get length, it will show me the length. Get offset, it will show me the starting index of the data. Normally it is 0, but sometimes when you want to start from between, it will give that array index. Get port will return the port. So these four things are from the format of the message, this packet only. First is the data, second is the length, third is the offset, and then the fourth. Now, suppose you have created the packet initially, not passing the address. So you can set the address, or once you have set the address, you can change the address by using the set address method. So in this, the only one parameter you have to pass, that is of the inet address type. So to the existing packet, you can set different address. Similarly, you can set the data to the existing packet. If already packet contains some data, but you want to set the additional data or new data, you can set the data in the, and you have to pass the data in the form of byte array. Then similarly, set data has from the starting index if you want, and how much size you want to write. So suppose you want to start writing from between, you will use the second type of set data method. Set length, suppose you want to set the size of the packet, then set port will set the port. So some are get methods and some are set methods. You can use any 5 once they ask. They normally ask this for short note. They may ask either datagram packet or socket or together for 5 marks. So you have to be ready. Now, what is datagram socket? So packet is ready. Now I have to start transmission. For starting transmission, as you all know, the socket serves as the communication point. So if the socket is connection oriented, we just call it as a normal socket. In case of client, in case of server, we call it as server socket. In case of datagram, we call it as datagram socket because it is connectionless. So datagram socket is a type of network socket that provides connectionless point for sending and receiving packets. For both sending and receiving, we make use of the same class, that is datagram socket. Every packet sent from datagram socket is individually routed and delivered. It can also be used in sending and receiving broadcast messages. Sometimes when you want to send it to all the computers which are linked to my computer, so that is called as broadcast message. Datagram socket in Java's mechanism for providing network communication via UDP instead of TCP. Yeah. So these are the definition of datagram socket. Some points you can write if they ask you. Then how to create object or how to create a datagram socket. First, it can create a blank datagram socket, and later with the help of bind method, it can bind to a particular port number. Second is a datagram socket with the port number. Third constructor is datagram socket with the port number and the address. Next is datagram socket and binds it with the existing socket address. So these are the ways by which you can create datagram socket. So let us see one of the examples, then it will be clear to you. Now let us see the methods. One is send. This method sends a datagram packet from this socket. So when you want to Send. Now suppose socket is ready. I want to send a particular packet. I make use of this method. But when I send, I have to specify which packet I'm sending. So you can see in the constructor, can you see my cursor location here? So you can see here in the syntax that I am sending and I have to specify which packet I'm sending. If there is any problem, it will throw IO exception. Then next, when I'm receiving, I will just have to receive. So there is no syntax shown here because for receiving you, I don't have to have any parameter. Receive method is used to receive a packet from the sender. When the packet is successfully received, the buffer of the packet is filled with the received message. The packet itself contains the sender's address and the port number. So as you all know, the packet from where it has come, that information also it will have. Next, get inet address. If the socket is connected, then the address is returned. If it is disconnected, then null value is returned. Then get local port, it will give the local port. Get port, it returns the number of the port to which the socket is connected. It returns -1 if the socket is not connected to. Is bound, if the packet is bound to any address, it will return true, else it will not return. It will return false. Is connected, similarly, if the socket is connected to the server and the communication is going on, it will return true, else it will return false. As you all know that each socket has a timeout time for which the server will wait, or it will just stop waiting and then it will stop the trial. The server, whenever it wants to communicate, it will wait for certain amount of time. If you want to make or you want to set that much of time, you can make use of set so time. These methods are similar to your TCP/IP socket also. Anyway, so let us look at one program in this sender. So we have both the sender side and the receiver. Once I send the information, I have to also receive it from the other end. So I have imported java.net. My class name is bsender. I have main method. So for sending, I have created a socket ds. Now this is a blank socket. Then I have created a string message, welcome to Java. Then I create inet address object by specifying the IP address. So automatically from the IP address, it will return its other values, that is the host name and all, and it will get stored in IP. Then I create my datagram packet. See here, the communication line, the socket need not store any of the information where it has to go and all. Because who will contain the information? Packet itself will contain the information. So socket need not worry where it has to connect and all. The packet itself will will store the information. How it will store? So let us see how do I create a packet. I create a packet whose name is DP because it is datagram packet. It will have the message. Which message it will have? From my string str, which is welcome Java. So it will be converted to bytes and it will store that message. Second is the length. So it will take the length from the str. Third is the IP address or the inet address object which I have created for connecting to this IP address 127.0.0.1, and then the port number, that is 3000. Any port number which I want to pass. So once my packet is ready, through socket I'll be sending it. So I have to just send it, go, and then it will automatically go to its destined address. So my datagram socket whose object name was ds here. So ds has to just send what it has to send, the packet which it has created, that is dp, and then it has to close. Now let us see at the receiver end. I have again imported the same java.net package. My class name is dreceiver. I have main method. Then I have created datagram socket. So here the client and server, there are no two classes. It is the same datagram socket class at the sender as well as at the receiver side. Now I have created here socket by specifying the port number through which I want to receive. So through which I want to communicate. So I have created a datagram socket with some port number. Then I have created a blank array which is of the type byte. Why this array is created? Because I have to store the information. So initially I have just created is it of the size 1024. If the side exceeds it, then it may give an error of overflow information. But normally I create it of sufficient size, that is the bigger size. Then I create a datagram packet, because in this packet I am going to pour the information from the packet which I have received. So for receiving, I'll be using this buffer, and then the length is 1024. So after my receiving packet is ready, I'm going to receive. From where I'm going to receive? From my DS. What is DS? My datagram socket. What I'm going to receive? I'm going to receive it into DP. Okay, but from where I will receive? From this port number. So whoever communicates through this port number. So whichever has come, it is something like I have my house and I have two doors. So whichever comes to the front door, I've just mentioned which door I want to welcome the guest from. So whoever comes at that door, I'm going to store that here. So whichever packet has arrived through that port, I'm going to store it in DP, and then uh, that information will be stored in that array through this method ds.receive into DP. It is something like receive into DP. Then that received message I have to print. So I have to extract it. How will I extract it? I have created one string variable here, str, from where I'm going to get the data from the DP. What is DP? My received datagram packet. From there, I will use a method called as get data, which will give me the data. And then this is the starting index from the 0th location. How much data I'm going to take? I can specify the length. Suppose if I want only 5 bytes, I can specify it as 5. But I want the entire message, so I have taken from 0 till the length of the message. I want to receive the entire. Then whatever I have received, I want to print using system.out.println. So after I print, I will just close. Then there is a textbook program. Here what they have done, it is little complicated. What they have done is they have created two classes, write server, and then here down there is one more. Yeah. There are two methods what they have created. One is the client. This is one method, and then there is the server. Yeah, there are two methods which are connected to the same. It is little complicated, so you need not worry. Now there is no time, so I will not explain also, but just I have pasted in case if someone is interested. What they have done is there are two methods here, the server and then the client. So these two methods, again in the server there are cases given. That if it is -1, then the server quits. If it is /r, then the break /n, then the new line, etc. It's quite complicated. You better you skip it because it will be really difficult. So you can just do this program which I have given you, a simple program of sending and receiving. So this covers our chapter of Java networking. So let us move to remaining part of JD from the unit 3, that is EJB. EJB is again a big chapter. The syllabus creation team or syllabus specification team, when the syllabus for your what you can say, the tenure, that means from your seniors this syllabus is started. It is like they have just mentioned EJB, only EJB and types of EJB. So you are supposed to know only what is EJB and types of EJB. If you refer to last year's question paper, they had asked too many questions from EJB. Because what they have considered is previous to your semester, when the subject was there for 5th semester, that subject name was J2EE. And during that time when Venugopal sir used to teach that subject EJB was in detail for them. So maybe this faculty who was teaching J2EE to 5th semester student, same person has set the paper for 4th semester. So he has not understood whether how much weightage of EJB is there. He has not checked it in the syllabus, and blindly he must have done. But anyways, this time what I will do, last time also I have given very small part of notes. So first I will teach you that, and then the remaining part I will be taking you through that. So first I want to just complete it in today's session. So let me take you through that. So we are going to EJB. So what you are supposed to know is definition of EJB. Then there are last time they had asked for interfaces, but as per the syllabus, you are supposed to know only what is EJB and types of EJB. First we'll cover that and then we'll go to the additional part. EJB. So I have to just do new share. Then enterprise Java Bean. Yeah, so I have brought you to the new text file. So here, enterprise Java Bean. Now, before I start here, I want to tell you something like what happens is whenever, how will I explain in a real-time example? Now, suppose, okay, nowadays, whenever you register to any website, suppose you want to register to some slideshare.com, new website is there to which I want to register. So whenever I register, there will be always a option, login through Facebook or sign up through Facebook or sign up through uh, Gmail. So what happens is whenever I want to register with a new website, I need not fill my all the information once again. When I say sign up through Facebook, then what they will do, and I have to just provide my Facebook account to them. They will automatically get all the information which I had provided to Facebook when I had created my account. So what happens is when I create my account with Facebook, my account, I mean, whatever information I had given during that time, so all that information will be already there. So whenever this new website will wants to fetch the information, that website will fetch the information from here like this. So my information, which will be stored as a bundle of values. So my name is there, my phone number is there, or maybe my email address is there, my age is there, something like that, or my gender is there. All this information is stored in the form of a bundle. Now, whenever I want to access, whenever other website wants to take it from Facebook, it will take the entire bundle. So this bundle of information you can consider to be one packet. uh, I mean, one bundle. Now, similarly, what happens is there could be some, okay, in programming languages, you have learned functions. So, what is the advantage of a function? Suppose you have written a function, and if you want to make that function global, global means what? That function will be available to any program. So, here I might have written 4 programs. All my 4 programs, if I want to use the same function, I can make use of that function from my program. So here also I can call that function. I can call it anywhere I want and any number of times. Suppose I want to call it twice, thrice here, so I can call it twice, thrice also. So this is the advantage of writing a function. So when I write an independent function, it becomes easy for me to reuse it in many of the programs. So this reusability concept is used in EJB. So EJB is what? Enterprise Java Beans. As you all know, bean contains the seed. Bean means a seed, which may contain potency to create something big. So what happens is in EJB, I can store such kind of code which can be used again and again. So that again and again, whichever code I write, similar to a function, I can store it in EJB. Now here code means here it is called as, normally in case of web pages, there will be 2 things. One is the calculation part and second is the presentation part. So whichever is the calculation part, that part is called as a business logic. And whichever is the presentation part, like for example, how do I present, in which font I present, whether I present it through text box or whether I want to present it in a normal text, so that will be the presentation logic. So whenever I create a web page, there will be 2 things. One is the code of calculation, second there will be a code of display or formatting styles. So that formatting style is called as a presentation logic and the code part is called as a business logic. So I just want to give you introduce to this word called as business logic. So business logic means the calculation part, remember. So how do I define enterprise Java Beans? Enterprise Java Beans is a component of J2EE architecture. What is J2EE? Java to Enterprise Edition. So remember that before EJB, already Java had one kind of bean which was called as Java beans. So Java beans were already present, but due to some limitation of Java beans, the next version was created which was called as Enterprise Java beans. So Enterprise Java beans had got additional capacity than the Java bean. So what is that additional capacity? That Enterprise Java bean could access even the server side easily. Normally, Java Bean can access only the client side, whereas Enterprise Java Bean even can access through RMI. What is RMI? Remote Method Invocation. All these things you may learn in your advanced study. Right now, it is not there. You just understand from the remote machine also, this Enterprise Java Bean can work. So Enterprise Java Bean is a EJB component of J2EE architecture that primarily provides business logic. What is meant by a business logic? The calculation part. It's like a function. It stores the functions which are related to the coding part to a J2EE application. Remember, these functions are not small. These functions will be related to database fetching or retrieval and interacts with the server-side components. J2EE application user browser-based interface composed of a web page. Uh, a HTML form collects information from the user and formulates a request for web services, which is passed along to a server-side component. The server-side component is written either in Java Servlet or JSP technology. So you all know that at the server side how servlets and JSP are used. As an intermediate between a client and web services, Java Servlet and JSP receive a request for the web service and fulfill the request by calling other server-side component that contains a business logic. Like for example, this servlet and JSP, they may know how to take the request from the client and pass it to the server, or from the server how to fetch it from the database. But suppose if there is any complicated logic while fetching the information from the database. So servlets and JSP, instead of doing it themselves, they have appointed one coder there. So that coder is sitting all the time there to perform some complex calculation. Who is that coder? That is nothing but EJB. Clear? So how Java Enterprise Java Bean is defined? It's a component of J2EE architecture that primarily provides business logic. Business logic means calculation part to a J2EE application and interacts with the server-side components. As you all know, EJB, the speciality of EJB over the normal Java Bean is it can interact with the server-side component. It can interact with servlets and JSP. Clear? So here I have given the example. You can read that example later. So it is something like whenever how the request goes, it will be directed to EJB for calculation and then EJB will fetch it from the database. Now, EJB is an essential part of J2EE platform because nowadays all the applications are complicated in coding. So it has become very, very essential. To run EJB application, we require an application server, EJB container, such as JBoss, Glassfish, WebLogic, WebSphere, etc. So when we use NetBeans, you all might be knowing that it shows you which container it is using. So all this automatically happens when you use some ready-made IDE, like whether you use NetBeans or when you use Eclipse. Through all these IDEs, these all EJB application server and all this kind of connections, they happen automatically. You need not bother. But earlier, all this had to be done separately. What EJB does, it does lifecycle management, it provides security. Why security? Because the code is not easily available to the outside, no one can hack or manipulate it. Then transaction management, whenever database transactions have to be performed, it will do. Object pooling, pooling in the sense it may store large number of objects there in a queue. Then EJB application is deployed on the server, so it is called a server-side component also. So you can write one more point about EJB, that it is server-side component. So when you compare EJB, it is like component object model. It is something like somebody has prepared one menu bar. So this menu bar which is there on top, uh, normally in case of office application, you can see on top this menu bar or this kind of tab which is common to all the office related applications, isn't it? So somebody, when they created it, they have created it independently, but when you open Word, this home tab will contain different options. When you open Microsoft Excel, it will have different number of options. So like this has become a common utility between different applications. So similarly, EJB is a bundle of code which can be used in every application. So I need another 15 minutes. So I will end my meeting now. Please rejoin. So I will just be able to complete this chapter today. So another 15 minutes.